Let's talk boxing. Let's talk Manny Pacquiao and your Dennis Ugas. A massive, massive fight this weekend. It was supposed to be Errol Spence, but Errol Spence has picked up an eye injury. So let's talk about this. This is going to be a technical breakdown video, talking about where each guy can capitalize on the errors of the other, so to speak, and who I believe will win the fight. It'll be a prediction video towards the end, but it will get quite technical. But before we do that, and before we look at those key elements, we do have to address the elephant in the room. And unfortunately, that elephant is potentially another injury. And that is for your Dennis Ugas. As you can see, his left bicep is abnormally swollen. It just doesn't look right, does it? Look at the size of it. And it's not just the size of it. It's the fact that there's a lack of definition. It looks like there's swelling there. Almost like, do you know what it looks like to me? It looks like a silicone implant. One of those ridiculous, terrible silicone implants. If you guys remember that Mexican politician who, from what I've read, this is all obviously just allegations, from what I've read, he allegedly decided that he wanted to appear to be a strong, a warrior-like leader when he was running for office. And so he had implants allegedly put inside him in his shoulders, his biceps and his chest before engaging in a boxing match, which, if you check it out on YouTube, is one of the most ridiculous things you have ever seen in your life. I strongly recommend it if you're looking for a bit of a laugh and you've not seen it. But yeah, it reminds me of that. Or as you can see next to him there, a photo of Tommy Morrison. Now, Tommy Morrison, of course, was a world level contender, but as he got very, very ill and was nearing the end of his life, he has now passed away, God rest his soul, he began to atrophy. He began to lose muscle. And when he had a few what have been described as set up fights, allegedly, he did have some implants in his chest. And as you can see, they look abnormally swollen too, right? That's how it sort of reminds me. That's what Ugas's arm reminds me of. Now, needless to say, I do not for one moment think that Ugas has gone and had implants in his bicep, right? But as you can see, his bicep and tricep, they look abnormally large compared to the counterpart, compared to the right-hand side, right? It just doesn't look right. So what could it possibly be? Well, as you can see here, this is from the weigh-in against Sean Porter. So this is from a fight of the past. And you can see that his left arm there, both bicep and tricep, are larger than the right-hand side, okay? Some people just have asymmetrical muscles, okay? He's more muscular on that side. But nonetheless, that you can see the definition there. It still looks healthy. It's not like the current bicep. The current bicep doesn't look like it's in the right condition. In fact, if you look at this particular photo, can you see this lump here? If I make it black and white, you'll be able to see even more clearly. Can you see it? Look at that. The shadow there has sort of been exaggerated. There's a lump on his bicep. Now, what could that possibly be? Well, Devin Alexander put out a photograph on Instagram recently where he showed a first round torn bicep of a fight he had. And as you can see, there's a massive lump on his bicep. Now, clearly, it's more pronounced and evident than Ugas is. It's a bigger lump. However, the way muscles are constructed is that they're made of fibers essentially, and if you pull a muscle to the point where it tears, those fibers pull away from each other, and because of the tension of that pull, they roll up, they roll away. So the more fibers that rip, the more they curl over each other, right? They roll up and curl, so it creates a larger lump. Now, it could just be that Ugas did tear his bicep, but not to the extent that Devin Alexander did, right? And that's why you see a smaller lump. Nonetheless, it doesn't look right. And that's something you're going to have to take into consideration if you want to watch this fight. Perhaps you're a gambler, whatever the case might be, it is something you can't just ignore. But for the purposes of this fight and the technical analysis we're going to get into for this video, the purposes of this video, we're going to pretend that Ugas is completely healthy, because you don't know for sure, right? It could just be some sort of aesthetic thing. I don't know, his muscle might just, I don't know, he might have overworked it. There might have been some swelling there that has, you know, I don't know. Maybe he's had the postman's knock, right? Who knows? I don't know. So we're just going to assume, for the sake of this technical analysis, that he is completely healthy. So let's get started. Really good place to start is, of course, with observing Sean Porter against Ugas. And one of the reasons this is a good place to start is because Sean Porter has some dimensions that are similar to Manny Pacquiao's, as well as some attributes that are similar. He's a smaller guy. They both have ridiculously fast feet, very fast twitch muscles. Their skill sets and styles are very, very different, of course, and we will get to that as the video wears on. But there are still certain things you can learn from this. Like I said, what you're looking at here is a guy who is on the outside who can jump in without you expecting it when you think you're safe, and suddenly you're under attack. Both Sean Porter and Manny Pacquiao are the sorts of guys whereby you are the soldiers of King John in the Sherwood Forest, and you feel like you're safe in the dead of night, and all of a sudden Robin Hood's men jump out from the shadows in the woods, and yeah, you're under attack. Now there are arrows and swords flying at your head when a minute ago you thought there were only owls and foxes around. These are the sorts of guys that they are. So what Ugas does to try and offset that raid, that ambush, which is what both guys offer, is to throw a very consistent and very solid jab to the body, which kept Sean Porter at bay quite consistently. You can see a bunch of examples of it here. Sean Porter using a lot of feints, hand feints, front feints. And did you see how he tried to time Ugas with that right hand over the top of the jab? We're going to get to that later on, because that's actually a key thing that we're going to discuss here. Ugas was very, very good at pulling out and making Sean Porter fall short consistently when Porter was trying to time him doing that. Okay, you can see a few more examples here. Again, pulling back, that sort of landed on the shoulder stroke chest. Nothing really there from Porter to worry about. Ugas was the one ensuring that he was landing the shots to the solar plexus, and it just stopped Porter early on in the fight from being able to jump in. He was doing some other good things, Sean Porter, but this is an area where he struggled with. He struggled to get inside, and as you can see there, he can make a guy fall short and then counter him and punish him for it. The difference is, though, Manny Pacquiao is a southpaw, and that means that his lead right hand is closer to the jab in hand, and as a result of that, he is able, in theory, to be able to punish a guy with what he's trying to do, what Ugas is trying to do, something that is a very, very effective weapon of Floyd Mayweather's, Badu Jack's. Anthony Joshua has indeed developed that jab to the solar plexus. But what Pacquiao is very good at is timing a lazy jab or a throwaway jab that you're looking to throw to then come back over with a power shot, or indeed the thudding jab. It may very well be to the chest or to the body. Pacquiao is very, very good at timing you with that. So we'll see him do it here to Keith Thurman on a few occasions. Lazy jab there, short right hand. You'll see multiple examples there. That one doesn't really land, but the point is the threat is there, and it will make Thurman think twice. Thurman spoke about how solid the shots of Manny Pacquiao were. Not in a thudding manner, but a real snap to them. Very, very hard, powerful shots. And what you saw there in that last clip, by the way, when Manny threw that hand, it can have it's not always a jab, right? It's a right hand counter, but it can be a jab, but it can have a hook to it too, whereby often the elbow's quite straight. There's not really much of a bend to it. That might be because he's got shorter arms and he's just literally trying to reach the opponent, but nonetheless he's effective with it. And when he lands, on occasion, if the fighter has tried to come forward and dipped in the way that Thurman did there, he will put the forearm or the hand on the shoulder or the back of the head of the fighter, the side of the head, and then push off to the side to stay safe. He does it to him again here. So if Ugas is coming down and trying to reach with that jab, Manny Pacquiao could be timing him with that, but also turning him at times. You'll see it again here. Lazy there is the lean, and he pushes away and he gets out quite safely, right? There, that was more sort of straightforward power jab. So that's something he's going to have to look out for Ugas. You know, that's going to be a key battle. Will Ugas be able to keep him at bay with that power jab to the solar plexus, or is Manny Pacquiao going to be the one who will be able to time Ugas with that right hand over the top of that jab and have more success? Now, another area that we need to really talk about is the actual timing and counters of Ugas himself, not just Manny Pacquiao. It's important because, like I said, Sean Porter is very, very fleet of foot, and so is Manny Pacquiao. So I guess the argument in favor of Ugas would be, listen, if he was able to lean back, pull back, and time Sean Porter on his way in, why do you think he wouldn't be fast enough to deal with the speed of Manny Pacquiao on his way in? He could read the entry point. He's going to be able to counter Manny Pacquiao as well. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment, but let's look at some of those fantastic counters that were very, very impressive in dealing with the entry points of Sean Porter. You saw they tried to lead with a right hand over the top, little step back, uppercut to the solar plexus. You see here, throwaway jab from Ugas, just to create distance. When Porter jumped in, you saw that he ripped a shot to the body. Ugas, he's willing to throw with you, even if you land. More often than not, he'll want you to fall short with that first phase of attack. But if you do land, he doesn't go into a defensive shell. He's willing to punch with you. Porter here using a lot of feints, threatening to come inside. How's he going to deal with this, Ugas? Very, very happy to just take little shifts to maintain range, little clipping hook there, just to keep him honest. Again, Sean Porter, a lot of feints, movements of the shoulder, comes inside, throws those looping shots to get inside, and you can see Ugas on more than one occasion there was able to step back, maintain range, and punish Sean Porter for it. Okay, I also want you to look at this clip a little bit now. That little left hand, tried to lead with it, landed a very solid right hand, did Ugas. And as you can see, Sean Porter now, his construct was semi-broken because of that shot. He tries to immediately launch another attack, but Ugas has maintained range. So he's very, very good at this. Now, this is a really important clip as well, because you can see here, let me just rewind this for a moment. You can see here that Sean Porter is looking to consistently change the angle, moving little subtle movements, something that Manny Pacquiao is very good at. Look at that, left to right, left to right. I'm going to jump in to surprise him. Ugas is still able to slip that shot and make him pay. So Ugas is going to feel as though he can have particular success in that regard. However, there is a difference here. You notice that when Sean Porter was throwing a lot of those shots, they had a loop on them. And apart from the loop, he also falls into you. He's trying to bump you. He's trying to break your construct. He's trying to use his physicality, his low center of gravity and his physical strength to get you off balance. From that point, he'll try to lean on you and pin your arm, change the angle on you slightly, and so on and so forth, right? We'll get to that later on. But the point is, because there's a loop on those shots, if you ignore that it's a glove that's attached to an arm that's going to come back, right? Let's pretend that it's a cannonball. And when it leaves the arm, it stays moving in the direction that it's going, all right? It's not going to come back. It's just gone, like a bullet. If he throws a cannonball that curls like a boomerang, just like a hook or a shot with a loop on it, and it's coming towards the side of your face, if you pull back the way that Ugas likes to do, or take a step back in a straight line, that cannonball will shoot off into the distance towards the side of you, right? If it's a clock face, it comes in at, say, 2 p.m., misses your face and flies off into the distance at 9 p.m., right? It's gone. When it comes straight, though, towards your face, if you take a step back and it's going towards 6 p.m., it's a bullet that's come from 12 p.m. and it's going towards 6 p.m. Well, you've taken a step back. Well, it's following you. And Manny Pacquiao has this fantastic ability to maintain that forward momentum in a very, very quick manner. And it's in a manner whereby he moves obviously forward a lot faster than you move backwards. Now, Keith Thurman is a terrific mover, one of the best movers in the division. His feet are fantastic. It's his best weapon as far as I'm concerned. And he's able to retreat very, very quickly. And when he retreats, he'll often turn off the shoulder. And so you haven't got much to aim at either. And so as you try to chase him, he will take a couple of steps back, turn off to the side, and he's gone and you can't catch him. But with Manny Pacquiao and the forward momentum, he had a serious problem. And this could potentially cause Ugas some serious problems too. Now, Ugas does things differently to Keith because Ugas, like I said, will not continue to move backwards like Keith. He doesn't move as quickly as him. He will look to move back once or twice, then hold his feet and throw with you. He's a responsive fighter, as he calls himself. In other words, a counterpuncher. But we'll get to that in a moment. In terms of Keith Thurman, and look at this, I just want you to see what Pacquiao was able to do. You see that forward momentum? Keith is trying to move backwards. That first jab misses. The second jab misses. Keith's moving away quickly. They're just on the edge of reaching him. He's just out of range. But Manny's doing this to close the range. He doesn't quit here. He doesn't throw a hook where he's thinking to himself, oh man, like, I need a big shot. Hopefully I'll catch him on the way out. No, a straight shot comes to the body just to freeze him up. Very short right hand over the top of the shoulder. It's all short, straight stuff. And he moves forward so quickly, he catches Thurman off guard. And you can see Thurman smiling there. He's not seriously hurt. But it's that suddenness, that flash knockdown that has an effect. Thurman was speaking about how powerful Manny Pacquiao is. Did you see that there? Let's just rewind that for a moment. As Keith Thurman is exiting here, the first jab misses, as you can see. It misses, the second misses, the third lands to the gloves, it doesn't land. And as he's thinking, you know what, now I'm going to turn off to get out to the side, something that Keith is so good at, he gets caught with that straight right hand, and it has a real effect on him. So if Ugas is trying to move backwards quickly, or even pull back like he tended to do against Sean Porter, he will notice that Sean Porter's forward momentum ended a lot more quickly than Manny's did. Manny's will continue. That cannonball will continue to come at your face. It's not like the one that slid off into the distance and now you're the one to shoot off your shots. He's still coming. So what Ugas will look to do, which is what he likes to do anyway, is to hold his feet and punch with Manny Pacquiao. But this is why this could also potentially be a problem for him. As I explained before, when Porter comes in, he's looking to be the alpha male. In other words, he's in the pocket. And although he does like to change the angle when he's got you off balance, before he's got you off balance, he just wants to come in quickly and come in fairly low as well. So the point is, you know roughly where he's going to be. He'll hold that pocket and wants to be the alpha male and bully you on the inside. Manny Pacquiao, though, will change the angle consistently. And while he might stay in the pocket, he will do it whereby he's constantly changing the distance, changing the height dynamic, and he can turn off completely to the side. So he can come out of the pocket or turn the angle so drastically that you don't actually know where he is. And we'll talk about why this is so effective. You can see here, I want you to look at the line of his head, the line of his body, and I want you to keep an eye on his feet. Look at the distance. Look at how Thurman gets forced into defensive mode here. It's not really Thurman's game to be like this, but Manny's landing these shots, and watch how he changes the angle. So let's look at him now at 12 p.m. say. He engages there with a left hook. You see how he stepped off to the side? You see how his back foot took a massive step out and he's moved off to the side. From a clock face, if he came in at 12, he lands that hook and now he's at what, 2:30? And he steps away at 3. Now by the time Thurman drops those hands to know where he is, Pacquiao's out of range. Throw away right hand to bring the uppercut into play. The uppercut doesn't land. So Thurman there blocks the shot and knows where Pacquiao is, even though his hands aren't in a position really to counter, because that lead shot occupied the lead hand of Thurman and the uppercut has occupied the backhand of Thurman. So Pacquiao immediately clocks another uppercut and look how he rolls under, so very slightly. Another hook, again he's come off to the side. So think about how he's changed that angle. Another little right hand just to blind him. And here's the thing with Thurman, right? When you've got someone in front of you, imagine it's like a pendulum, and you need to hit that pendulum. If you're throwing straight punches, it's a lot harder to land. 1 minute he's at 12 o'clock, next minute he's at 11, next minute he's at 1:30. So you think to yourself, you know what, rather than throw a straight punch, I'm going to throw a hook to try and cover them all. I'll throw a hook which will cover the trajectory of 11, 12 and 1. And I'm going to hit something, right? Kind of like a machine gun where you're just spraying and you're hoping for the best, right? So because of that, Pacquiao knows that a lot of the shots that will come back at him will be wide. And because of that, he's always ready to roll undershots, and he does it very, very well. And now he's exited at the opposite side. So he moved towards 2 p.m. and now he exited at 11. Lands the right hand, right hook. These are just blinding shots. You see how he loaded up there? Those blinding shots to occupy him enabled him to generate a little bit of space and really kick off that back foot to throw that lead left hand. He's clocked it big time, throws the right uppercut, left hook. Look at where he is now. So imagine a clock face. Think about where he was in terms of numbers. Throwaway shot, hook to the body, uppercut through the middle, misses. Changing the height dynamic. Another uppercut, we just touched him. It was just to... There's the roll underneath again. That shot was just to touch him, just to blind him, just to make him react, just to make him not know where he was. When he realized, I've not actually landed a couple of shots here, Thurman could potentially throw back. He's immediately ready to be defensively responsible and duck under the shot, knowing that it's probably going to be a hook that's coming based on the angle that he's at. And then he's happy to step off. Now, if Ugas decides, you know what, I'm not able to time him coming in, he's having far too much success, I'm going to need to follow him out. Ugas isn't particularly great at cutting off the ring and doing this, right? It's not really his game. But he is a tremendous body puncher. And if he does have you up against the ropes, or he has walked you down into a corner near a turnbuckle because he's had so much success and he's slowed you down, then he is a very devastating body puncher. There's no doubt about it. But in terms of cutting off the ring, when Porter was moving around and giving him different angles, he wasn't really cutting off the ring. He's a responsive counterpuncher. He wants to wait for you to make your move more often than not, unless he's leading with a jab, to make his move. When he leads with power shots, you can actually time him. He can get caught quite a bit. So let's say though he's desperate and he wants to follow Manny Pacquiao out. He will have to ensure that he gets very, very close. He'll have to ensure he gets very, very close to Manny and roughs him up. He's going to have to take a page out of Jeff Horn's book. He's going to have to turn it into a dirty fight, because if he can't keep up with Manny and he's the one that's falling short, and when he's leading, Ugas can be quite wild. If you go and look at the Abel Ramos highlights, you can find them on YouTube. You'll see one clip where he throws this wild over the top right hand and he falls short and he ends up falling over because he shot so wild when he was trying to lead with that power shot that he lost his balance. And like I said, when he leads, he can keep his chin up a little bit. He can get caught. He can get countered. And Manny Pacquiao, you'll see here, apart from the forward momentum that I'm going to show you here again, something we spoke about before, when he's coming in against Keith Thurman, when Thurman tries to come back at him, look how quickly Manny is able to step out and then step back in. And if Ugas is going to be falling short with these wild shots, Manny's going to be stepping to the side of him, changing those angles like we said, but immediately coming back in and punishing him. There's that forward momentum. He lands. Thurman now decides to come back at him, misses, and look at Pacquiao right back on him, moving into that area whereby you can't really deal with him, does a little Ali shuffle at the end. This is what Manny Pacquiao is about, okay? It's this consistent changing of angles, and where this fight is going to be decided are these key elements, in my humble opinion. I haven't sat there and done a technical analysis on every aspect of their games. What I've sought to do here is talk about certain key battles, I believe, in this fight. Is Ugas going to be the guy who's going to be able to land that jab to the body consistently, keeping Manny Pacquiao off balance without Pacquiao being able to read that shot, so that Pacquiao is struggling to enter the pocket? When he does try and jump in, is Ugas's timing and distance control, that first phase of attack distance control, going to be able to be enough to offset Manny on what he's trying to do? And if so, is he going to be getting the better of him? Or are we going to see Manny Pacquiao landing that short right hand because he's going to start to read when Ugas is going to look to throw that jab, whether it's to the head or to the body? And is he going to be able to disguise his entry point and come inside, and with that forward momentum, make Ugas move further back than he wants to? If not, and Ugas is stubborn and wants to hold his feet and throw with Manny Pacquiao, he's certainly the bigger, stronger man. If he's able to read where Manny is in the pocket and it becomes a shootout, well, maybe, just maybe, Ugas is going to have the bigger tank, so to speak, and be able to wear down the 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao by targeting that body, slowing him down, getting him up on the ropes, and really going to work, which he can be very, very good at. Alternatively, though, if it's Manny that's changing the angles on the inside and Ugas is not able to read his entry point consistently, and he's getting caught and lit up like a Christmas tree, then he could be in serious, serious trouble. Especially if he starts to get desperate and decides, I'm going to have to start taking risks and chasing Manny here to land a shot. Now we're going to pretend that there's no bicep injury and that they are both at 100%. And even so, I would suggest that I believe Manny Pacquiao will win this fight by decision. But there might be some trickier moments than people suspect. I think it will be a tough test. A lot of people seem to think, it's weird, it's split. Some people seem to be saying, you know, Sam Jones, for instance, said Ugas is too young, too fresh. The Pacquiao fans feel like this is a bit of a mismatch. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's a good fight. It's a fight that I'm intrigued by, I'm excited about, but I expect Manny Pacquiao by decision. And gents, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about all the topics that we've discussed in this video. Let me know what your predictions are. Let me know if there are any little technical nuggets that you've picked up on that you think will be key in this particular fight. Please hit that like, subscribe, share button, as well as that all important notifications button. Chat to you soon, everyone. Take care. God bless. Enjoy the fight.